Hey everyone, we're just going to get right into it. So it is a very sleepy day here. So my words aren't wording, so we're just going to get right into it. Just so everyone knows, we're probably going to keep the comments off for about, I'm going to try it for about a month, maybe 2 months. I've got a lot of things coming up, so I might do 2 months just because we've had a lot of people trolling the comment section as me, asking for money from like different YouTube accounts, and a number of you have reported them to me. We got the main one taken care of, but there's a lot of little other ones, and so I just want to close down the comment section, and eventually if they're not able to comment here, they will move on. I do this like once a year, so I just want to make sure that you guys stay safe, because they're coming up with really creative ways, I've noticed. And I had somebody screenshot one of the things to me that's actually one of my moderators for some of the events, and I was pretty surprised at like how like convincing it was, and I was like, oh no, we gotta shut this down. So it'll be like 1 or 2 months here, and yeah, so just, you know, take the messages if they resonate with you. If they don't, leave them behind, and we'll get back to interacting here shortly. So let's see. Okay. Oh, it's the same card. So channel members, you guys have a message that's coming out today. This is the same exact card that came out for your reading. We'll see what it's going to say here in a moment. Being told to take 3. Okay. I'm taking that sideways like that. Okay. Ooh, and the very bottom I heard was important, so we're going to hold that right here. So these are our scroll cards. Now if you're interested in these are from Steph over at House of Scrying. I'll leave her linked in the description box below. So, you know, last week we had a little bit of a Thoth energy crop up in one of the readings, and it's so wild how I don't remember any of the readings until I step into this space. We had a little bit of a Thoth energy, and that's what I'm seeing here, but it's almost like Thoth in the terms of the self that observes, the self that documents, the self that has pre-chosen certain events and certain circumstances in order to learn lessons. Not your conscious ego self that gets upset about it, but the higher self, the true self, like however you resonate with that. Here, this is kind of this energy of like remembering the quantum is actually the very, very small. And for some of you, maybe you understand that. And there's something here that's going on about breaking down the different layers of identity into that single truth. It feels very much like an I am kind of essence, like all that I need to know is that I am, right? And people get lost in the words and what they think the words mean, but those words are 2 words and they're very simple, and it's the simplicity of someone's journey that is now becoming extremely apparent. Part of that simplicity feels a little bit like there had to be this like sundering of something, because I'm seeing this almost like 2 people like waving goodbye. So there's definitely a change that's taken place previously. I think that these things were attached here with the earth codes, almost like a part of the program we were running here. Someone's overcome some part of the program they were running. And for some of you, this may be happening out of your control. So for example, if you're losing a job, it may be happening outside of your control. And it's really just a way of allowing the energy to free up so that you have a new direction to choose, especially if you were stuck in a rut or you were in the type of work that you've been in for a long time. And there's a lot going on here inside these cards that are telling me that inside this collective, there's probably a lot of change taking place right now. Old stories are leaving. We're finally releasing those stories. And with the realization that we were the only ones holding that energy in our life now. You know, maybe that story was dead, done, over with a long time ago, but we were still holding on to a particular thread. Maybe we are finally believing in ourselves to go out and do something more, right? Not giving more time, more energy, because sometimes giving more is actually giving less, but doing something that we feel fulfills us in a deeper way. Now, here, this is a very interesting energy, because this is kind of like, for me, it's almost like a bird that's going in sideways. You know how like birds, sometimes when they go to land, they go in sideways? So it's like coming into a landing. There's something about coming into a landing. There's some place that we're about to wind up, or some event or situation that we're about to navigate ourselves towards. It's like the perfect docking station. So if you're somebody, for example, who has recently left behind a job and you're looking for a new job, or you recently decided that you need to, and you believe in yourself to like do something different than what you had previously done, or maybe it's a matter of needing to make more money to support your family. This is like the energy now that we've released this belief that I have to be here and I have to do this thing and I have to make this amount, otherwise, you know, like my own personal ceiling. We're about to dock somewhere. Now, some of you, there's a big change in the way that we are experiencing wisdom. I don't know what that means, but that's what I'm seeing up here. It's like two dragons holding these pearls, and one is facing one way, the other is facing the other way, almost like something has flipped. Even the motion of this ink, it's like a flip has taken place. And for some of you, it's like completely changing some sort of belief structure that you've had, completely changing, like it could be like a change of religion. It could be a change of the way that you even view the spiritual world in general, if you even view it as spiritual anymore, because you might not. You might believe that it's now one and the same. There's something here that has flipped full circle. And for some of you, again, you initiated this. For others of you, it's something that almost seems to have been initiated for you. It's like something broke the last straw, or something, just like flipped a switch on inside of your heart, inside of your mind. I'm feeling that for some of you, it's heart and personal power, your solar plexus here. And by tapping into some area that maybe was a little triggering for you with this red, it feels a little bit like someone crossed a boundary, or some situation crossed a boundary into either the survival mechanism or into a place where there's still a wound. A place where maybe that wound, in order to heal, we need some time away from the energy that we're trying to leave behind. Because that little thread was still connected, we were never able to completely tend to that wound. It was still like fueling the poison. So someone has completely removed themselves away from that, and they're allowing themselves to really have this, sometimes it takes time. It's like giving it time and space so that it can heal. I'm being drawn back over here. So I want to say some more about this, but give me 1 minute. I'm being brought back over here. Okay, so bear with me, right? We're going to nerd out a little bit. It's bringing me into like the Legend of Zelda and the idea of Ganon. And the Ganon, when I think of that, it makes me think of this symphony that did the entire like Legend of Zelda score. And I want to say they're Scandinavian. I can't remember where they were from. But their like dungeon song with like Ganon's theme is like the most epic thing ever written. It is so metal, let me just say. So metal. And there's something very alluring about that, like this like very dark, dangerous sort of remember, sound is vibration. So for some of you, the thing that you were connected to, it connected you to a time in your life, or to an energy that maybe at one point was the very same thing that wounded you. Right? So it's like, this is why it had to be released. There was an allure in keeping it, because on some level, if we released it, it was the last of it to go. And, we as human beings, we don't like to change. And when we let things go completely, that can be very scary for a lot of people. So that's something that's stepping through there with that Legend of Zelda imagery. It's wild how it works for me. It's like a domino effect until I get to it. Over here with Quantum Quest and Earth Codes, a lot of using your voice, a lot of communicating. You may have had to communicate in order to get this change to happen. You may be communicating for the future. There's this heart space energy showing up. In the members message, I discussed true giving, true receiving. That if you're only receiving when you need help, that's not true receiving. Receiving is, I deserve to receive, so I'm going to go ahead and receive this. We hear it as so toxic and negative when it's ourself, but if someone else were to say it and say, hey, yeah, I'll take that from you, just because, yeah, I think I'm good. I would love that. We're fine with that. We would even think, yeah, you deserve this. This is why I'm offering you this. But when we have that statement of deserving about ourselves, we hear it as like, away. And then the same is true for like true giving, right? A lot of people are like, I give so much. Well, if you step back and you realize that the subtle mechanism at play is that you actually give to make people like you, or to secure your safety, or to, get everyone to get along, and there's like an agenda in it. So this is about true giving, true receiving. Someone may have that current underneath this. I'm not feeling it as strongly for this collective that I'm reading for, but it's still in there for this card to show up. And with this card showing up, it tells me that whoever's message this is, that you're in a phase of your life where you're really trying to improve things. There's some hard things that have to happen to make that happen. And it's just the way life is, baby. Like things have to get hard sometimes before they get better. And it's just the way of life. You got to go in the fire to get forged. And there's a little bit of this warrior energy that somebody may be adopting right now because of that. Just remember who your war is with, right? Who and what your war is with. It's very rarely actually with other people. So I'm seeing some eyes sitting here. And these eyes are kind of like, they're dazed eyes, they're trance eyes. Somebody here, you may be working with altered states of trance right now. I'm seeing this as a white bird. Initially, when I stepped into this space, I didn't see it. I was seeing like white wings, and I was seeing like a dark space with all these white wings. And that's one of the reasons why I knew I needed to keep this card, because this is blind birds. So you may feel like you're flying a little blind, but you're just kind of trusting your direction. Like, these are the things I want to do. This is what I want for myself. It's okay. For some of you, you may have had a tower moment and you don't actually know what direction you're heading in. You're just basically taking it one day at a time, and that's great. Allow yourself to really figure out what it is that you want, because this is ultimately your space to create. Let's see. I almost feel like there's some, how do I want to say that? It's like a journey. There's a new journey opening up for whoever this message is for. We have the end here showing up with the 10 of bats. This is the end of some sort of mental anguish. And here we have that journey with the 6 of bats, the 6 of swords. So we're moving on from something that caused us a great deal of mental anguish in some way. Maybe it was like, a person that crops up, and every time they crop up, it's like, God, what am I going to do about this person? Or maybe it's, a family member who is always trying to take too much energy and too much time. And you have to finally put the wall up for a little bit. But whoever this message is for, there's definitely this like moving on. And remember how I said it's like we're finding our docking port? That's what this is saying to me. It's like we're moving on towards a place that feels more like home. Here we have the Knight of Bats. Again, this happened rather abruptly, I feel. It may have been something you were thinking about, but in the end, the actual movement was caused very abruptly. And there's a heavy amount of communication coming in as well. We do have this sort of wounded energy showing up with the Devil card. When we have the Devil card, this is, Saturn, so it always makes me think of karma. When we talk about karma, we're talking about the spaces within ourself where we're not good with self. I don't mean where your conscious mind isn't good with you, your conscious mind. I mean the deeper aspect of your spiritual self. That's a whole process of karma. We're constantly working through those things. That's why the word karma means the work. And these things get projected onto other people, especially with a layperson's understanding of karma. And when these things are projected onto other people, we're not as effective in working through these as we are when we look within, right? This is one of the reasons why projecting our angers, our upsets, our reactions onto other people is usually not the way to go. It doesn't mean that other people don't do things that genuinely shouldn't make you mad. Absolutely, people do all the time. But it's being able to sit with it and really process that emotion and process the situations. For some of you, for example, I know a lot of INFJs do this. If you're somebody who sits and you process and you process and you process, and you may need to actually be more in the energy of acknowledging the emotion as it happens, because it can go both ways. A lot of people, they're very quick to shoot the mouth to do blah, and then they feel like 5 days later they're like, God, why did I say that? And having some self-control is really good. That keeps coming up in the readings, by the way. I noticed a couple other readers keep getting that inside their readings lately, so it's kind of interesting that that's the energy being worked through on a collective level. And others of us, though, we have to learn how to say things as soon as we're experiencing them, because we may hold silent too long, especially if you're somebody that's used to like giving people too much space and not having good boundaries. Here with the Devil, there is, and making sure that that person does deserve you to say something, because sometimes when you're triggered, it's a you issue. It's your insecurity, it's your fears, it's your worries that are getting triggered. It has nothing to do with the other person being disrespectful. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here, is that somebody's leaving behind this mental anguish, and they're leaving so that they can work on this energy. This seems to be the energy that's fueling someone to leave. And it's not necessarily because you have something wrong with you. I know how that's how people tend to interpret that. It's simply that there's a wounded space that still needs tended to so that the story can change. And I do think that this is a story someone has worked on changing for a very long time. I have 3 swords laid out here. And whenever I have that many swords, 3 for me is the writer number because it's creativity. And it's the creativity of that suite. So if I have like 3 cards that are wands, whether I say it in a reading or not, I know that the three wands paired together means I'm probably talking to people that are working on some sort of creative endeavor. So like something artistic. For me, the wands are paintbrushes or something magical. And here with the swords, what I'm seeing is I'm seeing that somebody probably is a writer, or they use their words, or language is very important to them. The act of communication is very important to them. Some sort of transmission of information is important to them, and how they transmit that information. 3 of Swords can also be somebody that is working either like telepathic spaces or like channeling spaces as well for me. So with the Devil card, it just means that, you know, we're trying to fix the way that maybe people approach us, maybe the way they communicate to us, maybe the way that we have. And I want to explain what I mean by that too. I don't mean that we're changing people, right? By healing ourselves. I think a lot of people think that that's what that means. What I mean is that as we heal ourselves, we don't tolerate the same things. And so what we allow inside of our reality is completely different. And that's what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing that somebody is really working on really eliminating that energy out of their reality. Anybody who shows up a certain way, who uses words as weapons, anybody who, you know, kind of like likes to argue and is just argumentative for the sake of arguing because they like to see people struggle through their communication, things like that. It's like there's somebody here that's extricating that energy out of their life. And here's the 9 of Swords. There may be a little bit of a worry here about this. I think that this is probably the energy that you experience, is that you were worried about this for a little while. Now, remember, this doesn't have to be interpersonal. This can be at a job. So, for example, if you work in some field where communication is important, but you keep having people tell you, like, oh, this is all you can do, this is all you can make, this is, you know, that's also communication. I know on the surface, this might be taken as just being about between you and another person, but that's not the case at all. I see here that with the Devil energy, there may be some shame or guilt that a person has to work through that is going to cause a little bit of anxiety here for a little while. Just remember that it's short-lived. It's touching that Knight of Bats, so it's short-lived. And this may be something that a person has to get comfortable understanding that they experience, but that emotion, that experience doesn't have to dictate their direction, right? Understanding how you work, in other words. And here we have the 5 of Pumpkins, definitely letting something go. 5 of Pumpkins is, you know, basically like emptiness. It's loss, it's lack. It's being turned out into the cold. Definitely leaving something behind. I'm going to see exactly what is being left behind. Child's looking back at Justice. Leaving behind something that was unfair. So again, that could be any sort of situation, but whatever it was, there was not an equal give and take. There wasn't an equal exchange. Again, if it was a relationship, maybe it was somebody who would come in and they would want your time and attention, but they wouldn't necessarily reciprocate. Or if they did reciprocate, maybe the energy that they were giving you was like a negative energy or a toxic energy in their reciprocation. Others of you, again, this could be a job, and it means you know, spending more time at the job and putting more energy into the job than maybe they were my word is escaping me, so maybe then they were like accommodating you for. Compensating, there we go. Okay. And then what are we moving towards here? We're moving towards this. Really fighting for what it is that you want. You know, this is conflict. But this is a conflict internal to us. It's like some of you have a conflict that's coming up because of this separating of the energies. So just be mindful of that, and just remember, you don't have to be owned by the guilt or the shame that someone's trying to impress upon you. You're on a new direction, and the things that you've outgrown, you have to leave them behind. But more than that, what this is showing me is it's showing me that someone is kind of working through the internal conflict, and this is good. This is good because it means that once you work through this internal conflict, this is an old story. That's when a story officially closes. You can close the door behind this. Let's see, and in the future, we have the Temperance card. Yeah, I think this message is just kind of coming out to like validate someone who may be right now experiencing a little bit of shame or guilt for leaving something behind. And I particularly feel that the Temperance card is indicating the confirmation, just because it kind of is like, hey, they're there, you know, because the Temperance card is really about balance, achieving balance after a time of worry and internal conflict. We may be going through this cycle right now where we feel a little bit of an absence or a loss. We're a little worried about it. We feel a little conflicted about it and going through this cycle. Just remember that the reason why you're going through that cycle is because you're seeking justice. You're seeking even partnerships, even exchanges. And on the other side of this, when you let this energy kind of cycle out, is the Temperance. Everything will balance again. Okay, I'm being told to take one of these. What a strange mishmash of cards. Let's see. Oh, yeah. And this is what's coming up. So, dropping shields, divine love, your heart is healed. And that's what this whole thing seems to be about. It's this, there's some sort of wound there. When we keep picking at a scab, or when we keep letting other people pick at a scab, it's never going to heal. And the best thing that you can do is take the arm away that's picking at it and let it sit and let it breathe for a little while. I don't think that this is really going to take that long. It's almost like there's just this one little thing in our life that was really kind of dragging us down. And you may be very surprised when you're past it. You may be very surprised at how good you feel. And you might think, wow, like I didn't realize that was affecting me so much. You just have a little bit of this to go through first, and then you'll come out on the other side. So I'm being drawn to this because the pink. So I'm going to read what this says. It says, finest bat wool. So I feel almost like I was supposed to read that because that might be a sign for somebody. So finest, bat, and wool are the words on that. Okay. I'm going to leave this here. Whoever's message this is, I wish you the best of luck with this energy. And if this reading resonated with you, feel free to like it. And until next time.